So, is it that time in your life yet? Do you feel like your family is complete and you and your spouse want to not worry about changing that? Well, the decision can be difficult, but the recovery doesn't have to be. After your vasectomy, you gotta get testes. Doctors usually recommend a jockstrap and ice for your boys to help with comfort. Well, testes is the best of both worlds. This is for the man who is out on the go and needs to get things done. You get the ice packs from the freezer, strap up, and saddle up. The packs give you at least 20 minutes of comfort, even if you're just sitting around watching the game. And most important, guys, no wet spots. Put on the jockstrap under your briefs and go about your day. They come in 3 sizes, medium, large, and extra large to get your right fit. Now head on over to testes.com. That's TEST-EEZE.com. TEST-EEZE.com. Your wife is going to thank you for the snip, and your testes are going to be thanking me. Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Patreon, Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, wherever, guys. While you're there, go and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Dayspring Discussions Facebook group, and don't forget the Twitter account. And as always, you can find me Slim Dayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. Well, what's up, guys? It is a rainy and gloomy day here in Austin, Texas. My wife and I just got back from Fredericksburg. Went to pick up our wine that we get from Fredericksburg. We're part of one of those wine clubs, actually. So we have to go every couple of months to go pick up our bottles of wine. It's a little bit of a drive, but, we enjoy it, too. It's some time to just be us. And usually we'll, stop and have lunch and do a few other things, maybe just, kind of make like a half day out of it. It's not too bad. But today it just rained the entire time. Like the entire trip it rained, and we were going so slow, and it's puddles and puddles out there. And I don't think it's done yet, but tomorrow's supposed to be a better day, so we'll hope for that. Speaking of better days, we've got some good stuff to talk about. So for those of you who don't normally listen, this is how it goes, guys. I post up stories on the Twitter and Facebook group almost daily, several things a day, it seems like. And then, of course, you guys jump on there, share, your thoughts and feelings on those stories as well. And then every once in a while, whenever there's something I feel like I really want to talk about, I jump on here and post a little episode. Then, of course, you guys share your feelings back with me, comment, either directly on the sites or on the social media groups, and we have a discussion about it. Hey, how about that? I referenced a word in the title. So yes, it's all about the discussion, guys, about the conversation, enjoying the things that we all enjoy together in a positive and friendly environment. And today is a good one, guys. So yesterday I came home from work and immediately watched the season finale of Amazon Prime's Invincible. So this is the comic book show based off Image Comics that did the comic. Ryan Kirkman, the guy responsible for Walking Dead, he also co-created this as well. This show is another produced show by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, most known, of course, Seth Rogen, famous actor. But the two of them, they've been a kind of producing duo that did Preacher for AMC. They did The Boys for Amazon. Now we got Invincible up here. I think they're doing Ninja Turtles as well, if I remember correctly. So that's coming. But overall, enjoying what these guys are doing. I wasn't a huge fan of Preacher, but I wasn't a fan of the Preacher comic book. The Boys I love. And Invincible is doing pretty good in my eyes. So I want to sit down here and just chat about season 1 of Invincible, specifically, the finale a little bit, but I'm going to run through some characters, share my thoughts on them, and of course, it was announced a couple days ago that Amazon has renewed Invincible, not only for another season, but 2 more seasons. season 2 and 3. Super excited about that because, like I said, I did enjoy season 1 of Invincible. Also, to let you guys know, I do go spoiler. So if you have not finished season 1 of Invincible, pause, go watch it, come back, and then you can share your own thoughts over on the social media groups or comments section. Honestly, I say this with, a lot of, feeling behind it. Please go watch it if you haven't. I don't want to spoil it for you because honestly, I think it's that good, especially if you are not familiar with the comics at all. I think, you're really going to enjoy this season and this series. I don't want to spoil it for you at all. So if you have not watched it, please just pause and come back and listen to this in a little bit. So the first thing I like to do, of course, is give you a little background as far as my knowledge of the, what I want to say, source material. Invincible, I remember years ago reading the first, I think it was 2 or 3 volumes of Invincible, but it's been many years, and honestly, the only thing I remember from it was kind of the premise of it. The fact that Mark Grayson, his dad, is the world's most celebrated and powerful superhero, Omni-Man, and one day he gets his powers and he decides to follow in his footsteps and become the superhero Invincible. And then, of course, the other thing I remember is the big twist with Omni-Man and his fight with Mark. Yes, that's spoilers. I just warned you guys about spoilers. If you're still hanging on, I make no apologies, okay? But those are the 2 things I remember. I remember the kind of basic premise of it, and then I remember the fight, which in the comics I remember was glorious, and I think they did a really good job in the series pulling it off too. So what are all my overall thoughts on season 1 of Invincible? I liked it. It was something that I definitely look forward to. I wouldn't say I look forward to it as much as, an episode of Game of Thrones or maybe even, WandaVision or, one of those shows, but it definitely had its highlights. This last episode, episode 7, the one before, I didn't end up watching until like Tuesday, I think, is when I ended up watching it. But, the way that ended, I had to watch episode 8 because I figured, knowing what little I do about the source material, the big highlights, the big fight between him and his dad, I figured, the way the first couple episodes went, it was going to be the season finale the way it was all heading. So I figured, it was going to be a really good episode. And I was right. It really was an excellent episode in my eyes. But overall, the season, I enjoyed it. It's animated and can be corny sometimes a little bit. But, the characters really kind of hung in there. I mean, the main character, Mark Grayson, is probably, there are times I think find him a little annoying and times, that I really am captivated by him. This last episode, the emotional journey, struggle and despair that he was going through in the last episode of the season really pulled me in, where there were other times, with what he was dealing with his girlfriend that really just kind of annoyed me and like, what is this bullshit? Why this is stupid. Just tell her who you are or break up with her. Don't drag this on. You should be dating Adam Eve anyway, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. And again, I have limited knowledge of the series. I'm not sure how a lot of the comics go, so I'm going in pretty fresh. But, Adam Eve was a character who I really enjoyed. And that's one thing I liked about the show, too, is the supporting characters. Yes, Mark Grayson, Invincible, is the title character, but they did a lot with a lot of the supporting characters. A lot of the Guardians of the Globe, I felt like I know really well. Of course, Adam Eve, Robot, Cecil, voiced by Walter Goggins. That character, he's supposed to be kind of like a Nick Fury style character. I really, really liked that character a lot. See, he was one of my favorites. Him, Adam Eve, who other was, those are probably my favorite two that come off the top of my head, besides Omni-Man, voiced by Oscar-winning actor J.K. Simmons. The way he did that was just great. You watch that first episode and it feels, it's almost like, you're almost like in a Spider-Man / Superboy thing. And that's the way I described it. Whenever people would ask me about Invincible, I'm like, well, it's kind of like, Superboy, but with like a little bit of Spider-Man mixed in there, where, he kind of feels like almost like a Peter Parker type character and how young he is. Superboy, obviously, in regards to, say, a Clark Kent, was a little more responsible, but, he's a little more irresponsible, Mark Grayson is, in regards more to a Peter Parker in my eyes. So I kind of saw that in it. But, like I said, I remember reading the first couple of volumes and thinking it was good, but not something that, I could keep up with. But, after watching season one, maybe I'll jump back in. Although at this point, I really don't want to spoil anything. I know they've made not a lot of changes, but I heard they made some changes compared to the source material as far as events and when they happen and a few other things. And I get that, but for me, it's kind of like Game of Thrones. I don't want to read the books because I don't want to spoil the show for me. I read the first book of Game of Thrones, and that was, okay, but I didn't want to read any more because I wanted to enjoy the series. And I feel like it's the same thing with this, especially since I'm a big TV guy. I don't want to spoil a TV show that I enjoy. I want to be as surprised and captivated as I can be. Where was I? Oh, yes, Omni-Man, J.K. Simmons. That's right. Probably the best character in the show. I mean, hands down. You get to that end of the first episode, and he just rips apart the Guardians of the Globe, and you're left wondering why. Why is he doing this? And of course, if you're familiar with the source material, you know why he did it. But the whole time it's just you're going through the next couple episodes, kind of feeling what's going on. Why is he doing this? He was a superhero. He's training Mark to be a superhero. All these things, and then of course you get to the season finale with the twist, and it's a good one to say the least. But exactly, it's the mystery of the character, and even in that season finale, when he's beating his son to a bloody pulp, he has that memory of him playing Little League baseball or whatever. And, he becomes attached. He realizes, he lives for hundreds of years, and he makes some comment about, I can just have another kid. But, he does have some attachment to Mark, and that's why he stops, beating the crap out of him, and why he leaves, and why I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he comes back. Because, yeah, he is a brutal character, but, he does, I think, love his son. How he feels about his wife, Debbie, I don't know. But, Mark is a part of him. He loves him. I truly believe that, which is why he left. But I think him leaving is going to have repercussions for what's to come, both for Earth and possibly for him. Because at the end of the season, Seth Rogen's character, what's his name, Alan the Alien, he mentioned, that Viltrumite has never, abandoned his post before. So Omni-Man going back out into space, probably, I'm guessing, to his home planet, and they're going to be like, what are you doing here? Like, why'd you run away? You shouldn't have done that. Probably going to get punished. Or, maybe they're going to send someone else. If he can't get the job done, send someone else who can get the job done. But I really did enjoy, the mystery around him for most of the season, and, I think the complexity of his character, because, like I said, I think he does love his son, and I think he actually does love his wife, but, he was raised in a almost, Nazi regime of an empire where it was duty above all, above everything else. It was his job, it was his duty to prepare Earth to be inducted into the Viltrum Empire. I think I said that right. That's what he thought about, and that's what he tried to put first this whole time. And I think there's a crack in the armor that we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there. I did enjoy that last episode too. When he turned bad, so to speak, his eyes got red and he got a little crazy-eyed there, I would say, so that you could notice that turn. Now, of course, the big thing about this show that people keep commenting on is the fact that it's an animated superhero show, but it is, very grown up in the sense of like a Harley Quinn and some of those others where there's a lot of violence, a lot of swearing. It comes from the comics, which does a lot of that too. This is, it's brutal violence. I'll tell you that. They do not hold back on the animated violence. I love the shot in the season finale, the very first shot, after Omni-Man had taken out, I think it was the Immortal or the Eternal. I forget the character's name, but he cut him in half in front of his son, And the first shot of the season finale is you see this kind of blood start to sprinkle on some grass before his body drops. I thought that was a really great choice of a shot to start the episode. And of course, the season finale, I loved it where he's just, him and Mark are going at it, and he's trying to, she just sounds like, these people, this planet is insignificant. This planet doesn't, mean anything. These people have, meaningless lives, and, going around, all these people are dying. The subway scene, the building scene. Oh man, it was brutal. The death count they were racking up, and it was something. Oh, the worst, of course, the building thing got to me when Mark was trying to save the building, and it came down, and then it was on, and he still had the lady's arm, but that's all he had of the lady. That was pretty brutal. Of course, the subway, crashing into the train, that was something brutal. To me, the one that really got me though was when Mark saved the fighter jet, the pilot, and then his dad comes down and just squashes his head. It's like, didn't mean anything. You try to save these people, it's pointless. Shouldn't do that. That really got me because he went out of his way to be brutal. Mark saved this person, and he's like, I'm gonna swat this fly. And then at the end, when he's beating his son, and he has that memory of his son as feeling his joy as a kid, then he flies away because he realizes he does have some feeling for him. And Mark was saying, oh, well, I'll still have you, Dad. 500 years from now, what will you have? And Mark says, I'll still have you. And the bond that he believes they have, and I think they will, and how that might save planet Earth as going forward. Again, I don't remember what really happens a lot in the original source material in the comic books, so I'm going to come out, everything I remember as far as the premise and that big battle between Omni-Man and Invincible, they've done in this first season. So I'm going into season 2 completely fresh, not knowing what groundwork has been laid as far as the comic books. I'm excited to see where it goes from here, especially, since that last minute or two of the finale, they, were kind of teasing all the dominoes that were set up in this first season, and how they're still there, and how it's all going to get knocked down. Maybe not in season 2, all of them, but definitely throughout the rest of the series. And I think, of course, Mark, he's just starting off, but I think he's got to realize that Viltrumites are coming. He got his ass handed to him by his dad, and if he is going to have any chance of defending Earth, him, Cecil, the Guardians, they gotta find a way to step up their game hardcore, because they couldn't even handle one Viltrumite. Bring in 2 or 3 of them at least. It's no contest. So I'm going to see how Cecil, how Mark, how the Guardians, how this whole experience affects them in a way that they need to step up their game, and they need to get better. The Viltrumites, they're coming, and you got to protect Earth or just surrender. Now, some of the weaker characters in this series, Sandra Oh voiced Debbie Grayson, Omni-Man's wife and Mark's mother. It's one of those things where I wouldn't call her a weak character, but I just, she never got it. She was married to Nolan Grayson for years now, and, he seemed like he was a little bit of an ass most of the time, but she never got it, and it wasn't until it was spelled out to her that she really got it. So I did feel her pain, though, especially those last couple episodes when she realized the truth about her husband and their lives together. I did feel that. So she didn't work as well for me, but I felt it definitely got more attached in that last couple of episodes. Zazie Beetz voiced Mark's girlfriend Amber. And the whole will they, won't they, Mark's got to be superhero, so he leaves her kind of thing. It's very stereotypical, and maybe because it's so stereotypical and I've seen it so many times that I just got kind of bored with it. Even when she, said, oh, I know you're a superhero, but I still don't care. Not a huge fan of the character still. To me, he should be with Adam Eve. That's just my feeling about it. Maybe because she's a redhead, I'm a sucker for redheads. I don't know, but she seemed more like a character that was up to Mark's speed as far as being a superhero and being less dramatic too. If anything, she's got it way more together than a lot of the characters in this series because she's realizing that she can do more good now than when she was part of a team trying to be almost political in that sense and just kind of do her own thing and help people wherever and not be part of a group that is led by another group telling them when and where to save people. Mark's friend William, another character that he's a classic best friend. You got to have those characters for the hero to talk about stuff with. I understand that, but still, he was pretty not great. A character that to me could have been left out, and the story would be nonetheless worse off or better, I guess even. So that for that, whatever. Monster Girl was a character that was interesting. She's this girl who can turn into this great powerful monster, but every time she does, she grows younger. So she's really in her 20s, but she looks like she's 13, 14 or so. And Robot, voiced by Zachary Quinto, has feelings for her. His arc was interesting because I thought he was just a robot at the beginning. Turns out he's an actual person, and he gets this human body to try to connect with her. And his human body looks like a younger Rex, voiced by Rafi from the League. So as soon as I heard that voice, I'm like, that's Rafi. And I really enjoyed that scene in the season finale, when they formed the new Guardians. Of course, they left that one little blood stain on there. And Rex goes to try to wipe it off. And what's his name? Oh man. He voices people in Justice League and Young Justice. I'm looking on IMDb and I'm trying to find it right now. And I know it here. Black Samson was the character's name. Yeah, he's like, we haven't earned it yet. And then the team rallies around and he's like, okay, now we're a team. And you can see it at the end. They were a newly formed group, and it wasn't until the very end that they really started functioning as a unit. And, of course, hopefully, like I said, they'll get better. Invincible will get better. Hopefully, they'll be able to defeat Omni-Man when he comes back, or at least do better than what they would have. And that kind of, rounds out, the main cast or the main characters I think we really care about. Mark Hamill had it as a voice appearance as Art, the guy who made the costumes there. He's got, still that relationship with Nolan, but also Debbie. Interested to see, I think he's going to be very much a shoulder for Debbie to cry on because she's not going to want to show her vulnerability to Mark going forward, I think. So I can see that turning into something as well. The Mahler twins, they were interesting too, kind of a sidestep from everything else that was going on as far as the season goes. But, they did their small bits, in as far as helping out robots and a few other things. But they're in it, and I expect to see probably quite a bit more of them going ahead in the future. And again, the thing that really I think, sets this apart is the brutality. And that's what we have a lot of superhero and comic book material, especially when it comes to TV and the streaming services. You see a lot more, I don't want to say outside the box kind of stuff, because you look at Marvel, okay, and Marvel is PG-13, right down the middle. Everybody can get something out. A family can go to a Marvel Studios movie and get something out of it. The kids, the older kids, the younger kids, the adults, everybody can get something out of it. And it just goes right down the middle, which is why one of the reasons it's so popular. Something for everyone. And then where you look at, say, Warner Brothers and DC, those movies are not for everyone. In regards to the Zack Snyder films, I respect that he does what he does, and he's an artist, and that's fine. But not every art is for everyone, even me in some cases when it comes to those films. But you can see their approach versus Marvel's approach. Marvel, again, kind of goes a little more pop, which is fine, because you know what? If Falcon and Winter Soldier taught us something, it was that they're willing to go deep, but still have that surface level there. For someone like my next door neighbor who's 7 years old, little kid, and he comes run up to me one day and wants to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm sure he doesn't get all the other social messages in that, but he sees the surface and he still enjoys it on that surface level, and that's great. But what some of the streaming services do, they allow for this material, stuff like Preacher, The Boys, Invincible, even Daredevil, on Netflix, where you can be a little more brutal and maybe even be a little more truer to the source material. Go a little bit rough around the edges. The Arrowverse on CW, very cheesy, I would say, again, just like Marvel, kind of down the line there in the middle, where they'll do some, deeper stuff, but again, they try to accommodate the highest audience possible or the most broad. So a lot of it is surface with some, deeper stuff underneath. And you know what? That's fine too. But like I said, with Invincible, it has a lot of gore, it has a lot of swearing, but I think again, it just goes to the deeper stuff that you're allowed to do with streaming versus, not if you try to take that risk in a major motion picture, you're not going to get as much payoff, I think, because it's going to turn a lot of people away. With this, you get more of a niche, and I think it's a better payoff in those regards. I think early on, the season definitely had a lot of those, classic animated stereotypes, superhero animated stereotypes, with, again, some of the, more deeper stuff in the surface. Like I said, episode 1, it felt very stereotypical of an animated superhero series until you got to that last scene with Omni-Man, and it was just a brutal slaughter. From there, you kept getting deeper and deeper each episode and less surface, I think is kind of what I'm trying to say. And that, this last episode was all deep cuts in my eyes, and it was great. It was great in there, and if you hung in for those 7 episodes and you got to that point, I think you were very well taken care of, and should have appreciated that last episode if you stayed with it, got deeper and deeper in there. And now here we are at the end of season 1. I myself, like I said, I wasn't a huge fan of the character of Mark Grayson because he was very stereotypical, superhero angst teenager kind of guy. Now, after everything he's gone through, I feel like I have a deeper connection with him because I think his emotional understanding, his responsibility has gotten deeper, and I'm looking forward to see where he goes from here with everything that he's learned. All the mistakes that he learned in season 1 is going to form season 2, and I'm anxious to see, how that affects him going forward. If he's going to be a little more cynical, a little less naive, maybe try to train harder so he can be more powerful. We'll have to wait and find out. All right, guys. Well, that is my thoughts on season 1 of Invincible. Like I said, I really liked it. I didn't love it as some of the other stuff because of, some of the stereotypical animated superhero things I think it did early on. But like I just said, I think it kept getting deeper and deeper as the episodes went on, to where by that last episode, it was very deep cut, less surface, and I think we dug in there. It was a fun ride, to say the least. Looking forward to season 2 and hopefully season 3. But let me know what you guys think. Who's your favorite character? I want to start with that. Give me 1 or 2 of your favorite characters. Give me 1 or 2 of your least favorite characters. Give me stuff like that I want to talk about. Let's be more specific about it. For me, Omni-Man was great. I really enjoyed Adam Eve and Cecil. Those are probably my top 3 characters. Top 3 least favorite characters, Debbie, Amber, and William are my least favorite characters. So fire back, of course, on the social media groups. Let me know. dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, guys. That is there as well. And that is going to be it for me today. Invincible Season 1. I'm trying to get my people to watch this. My one buddy, JR, who watches, superhero stuff, I'm trying to get him to watch this. I feel like, again, because of those first couple episodes being more surface, it's going to take a couple, I think, to get him into it. He knows about the infamous season 1 finale, or not, episode 1 finale. I feel if I can get him to that point and then maybe, get him to continue a couple more episodes, he'll really get into it. But I really want him to, dig into this and get him to that season finale, because I think he's really going to enjoy it once he gets to that point. But let me know, guys, what you thought. Like I said, Facebook group, Twitter account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and find me Slim Dayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. What is it? What do we got going on? Oh, yeah, next week is Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix. The Mark Millar, or Miller, however you want to say it, that comes to Netflix, so I will probably, I don't like to binge watch things. I love the weekly stuff, and I think if anything, Disney Plus and Game of Thrones and even the Amazon shows now, Amazon used to release all their stuff, binge-wise, all episodes, all at once. You got to watch it all in one day, because if you don't, you're going to get spoiled online on social media. I hate that. Amazon realized that, and they, are doing it, spreading it out a little more. Netflix still is in the release the full season on one day. So I will get through it all in one day. I will get through it probably in a couple of days, and I will let you know what I think about that, because I do enjoy Jupiter's Legacy, the original source material. I have read it. It's Mark Millar. I love him as a writer, so I'm definitely checking this out. And if you guys check it out, let me know what you think. But that is it for me now. I'm going to go watch it rain some more and enjoy my Saturday evening. Until next time, guys, may the Force be with us all.